At the far end of town where the grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour and it blows and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is it's free to lift the lorax. And deep in the grass, some people say if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the lorax away. What was the lorax and why was it there? Why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the far end of town where the grass grows? The old one still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the one lurk, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurk on the cold under the roof where he makes his own clothes out of mid-bumper roof. And on special day midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters and sometimes he speaks and tells how the lorax is lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lays down to pail and you have to toss in 15 cents in a nail, the shell of a great grandfather's nail. Then he pulls up the pail and he makes the most careful count to see if you pay them the proper amount. Then he hides what he paid him away in his stuff, his secret strange holders, glove at his glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper on the phone for the secrets I tell, for your easy alone. Slap down slaps the whisper on the phone to your ear, and the old monster's whispers are not very clear since they have to come down through his snarkly hose, and he sounds up he had smallish bees up his nose. And I'll tell you, he says with his teeth sounding gray, how the lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was so green, the pond was so wet, and the clouds were so clean, and the song of the swolmy swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffle trees, the bright colored cups of the truffle trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown bobber lutes frisking about in their rubber suits as they played in the shade and ate truffle fruits from the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But the truffle trees. All my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh buttery milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I do. I loaded my cart in no time at all. I had built a small shop, then I chopped down a truffle tree with a chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted the need. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him this hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and moshy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak of the trees. I speak of the trees, for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you made out of my truffle tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a sneed. It needs to find something that all people need. It's a shirt, as a sock, as a glove, as a hat, but it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, for curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool need. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along and he thought that the need I knitted was great. He happy bought it for $3.98. I left at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax. I speak to the trees. I'm busy. I told him, shut up if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all. I built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers, knuckles, and aunts, and I said, listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Once family to get mighty rich. Get up here fast. Take the road to North Niche. Turn left to Weehawk and sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Once family was working full tilt. We were all knitting needs as busy as bees to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. The chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked up 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We were making the needs 4 times faster as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm Lorax who speak through the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please, but I'm also in charge of the brown barbalus who played in the shade in their barbalus suits, happily lived eating truffle fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go around, and my poor barbalus are all getting their crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They're leveling here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, you cried, and you sent them away. I, the once felt sad, so watch them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. Bigger my factory, bigger my roads, bigger my wagons, bigger the loads of needs that shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right and biggering, selling more needs and bigger my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes from the old nuisance Lorax. Came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snarkled. He sniffed. Once, he cried with the cruffless croak. Once, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor sweet swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing with smog in his throat. And so said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, sad, the Lorax, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about Gluppity Glup. Your machine tugs on day and night without stopping. Gluppity Glop up the shoppity slop. And what do you do with this leftover you? I'll show you, you dirty old once a man, you. And clumping the pond with a humming fish hum, no more than they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off for their futures dreary, they walk on their fins and get woefully weary, and search for some water that is just so smeary. Then I got mad, I got terribly mad, I yelled at the Lorax, no, he's listen here, Dad, all you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffle trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack from outside in the fields, came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree, then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffle tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done, so in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke stars. Now, all that left beneath the bad smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad backward glance. He's lifting himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word unless, whatever that meant. Well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the once learned, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So catch calls the once, or he let something fall. It's her truffle seed. It's the last one of them all. You're in charge of the last of the truffle seeds and truffle trees or whatever it needs. Plant a new truffle tree with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest and protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back.